Tears, the secret weapon of successful leaders. Welcome to the Black CEO podcast. I'm thrilled to share with you today some truly revolutionary insights I gained from a recent interview with the extraordinary Alana Brown. Alana is not just a successful entrepreneur. She's a visionary who's reshaping our understanding of leadership and emotional intelligence in the business world. Her groundbreaking work has touched countless lives, empowering leaders to embrace their full humanity and, in doing so, unlock unprecedented levels of success and fulfillment. Alana's message, "Cry, it'll make you feel better," isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a radical paradigm shift that's transforming boardrooms and startups alike. Now, I know what you're thinking. Crying? In business, that can't be right. And that's exactly the kind of deeply ingrained assumption that Alana's wisdom confronts head on. We've been conditioned, programmed even, to believe that success in the cutthroat world of business requires an impenetrable exterior, a facade of unwavering strength that never cracks under pressure. But what if I told you that this very belief, this cornerstone of conventional business wisdom, is actually holding us back? What if it's preventing us from reaching our true potential as leaders, innovators, and human beings? Let's take a moment to really consider the conventional wisdom about emotions in the workplace. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us to leave our feelings at the door, to toughen up, to never let them see you sweat. These mantras have been drilled into our psyche since we first set foot in a professional environment. And on the surface, they seem to make sense, don't they? After all, business is about logic, strategy, and cold, hard results. Emotions just get in the way, or do they? This is where Alana Brown's insight turns everything we thought we knew on its head. She proposes something truly revolutionary. Not only is it okay to show emotion in professional settings, but it's actually beneficial, even necessary, for true success and fulfillment. Now, I can almost hear the collective gasp from boardrooms across the country. This sounds counterintuitive, maybe even a little crazy, right? But I urge you to stick with me because the evidence supporting this idea is not just compelling, it's transformative. Let's start by examining the real, tangible costs of emotional suppression. When we constantly bottle up our feelings, when we force ourselves to maintain that stoic facade day in and day out, we're not just pushing aside momentary discomfort, we're creating a pressure cooker of stress, anxiety, and unresolved tension. And here's the kicker: this emotional burden doesn't just disappear because we ignore it. Instead, it manifests in other ways: decreased productivity, strained relationships, burnout, and even physical health problems. Think about it. How many times have you pushed down your frustration during a difficult meeting only to snap at a loved one later that evening? How often have you swallowed your tears of disappointment after a setback only to find yourself lying awake at night, replaying the scenario over and over? This is the hidden cost of emotional suppression, and it's a price we've been paying for far too long. But don't just take my word for it. Let's look at a real world example that beautifully illustrates the power of embracing our emotions in the professional world. Consider the story of Cathy Hughes, founder and chairperson of Urban One Inc. Hughes isn't just a successful businesswoman, she's a trailblazer who has built a media empire in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. As a Black woman in the male-dominated media industry, Hughes faced barriers that would have broken a lesser person. The conventional wisdom would suggest that she needed to be tougher, more stoic to succeed in such a hostile environment. But Hughes took a different approach, one that aligned perfectly with Alana Brown's philosophy. Instead of hardening herself against the world, Hughes leaned into her emotional intelligence. She wasn't afraid to show vulnerability when seeking support from her community and personal networks. This might sound like a recipe for disaster in the cutthroat world of media, but the results speak for themselves. Hughes's emotional openness didn't make her weak. On the contrary, it became her secret weapon, a source of strength and resilience that her competitors couldn't match. By acknowledging and expressing her emotions, she was able to process the difficulties she faced more effectively. This emotional release allowed her to bounce back from setbacks more quickly and maintain the unwavering determination needed to build her media empire. Imagine the courage it took for Hughes to shed tears in front of her team after a major setback. Picture the vulnerability she showed when she admitted to her mentors that she was scared, that she didn't have all the answers. In those moments, Hughes wasn't displaying weakness. She was tapping into a wellspring of strength that many of us leave untapped. And the results? Urban One Inc. isn't just successful, it's a powerhouse, a leading media company that serves African American audiences across multiple platforms. Hughes' success story isn't an anomaly or a fluke. It's a testament to the power of emotional expression in professional settings. By allowing herself to be vulnerable, to cry when she needed to, Hughes was able to tap into a level of authenticity and resilience that propelled her to the top of her industry. But let's dig deeper into why crying specifically can be so beneficial in a professional context. When we cry, our bodies release stress hormones in our tears. It's a physical act of emotional release that helps to regulate our mood and reduce tension. Think of it as a pressure valve for our emotions, allowing us to reset and refocus. Moreover, crying signals to others that we need support. In a professional context, this can actually strengthen team bonds and foster a more collaborative, empathetic work environment. When leaders show vulnerability, it creates a culture where others feel safe to do the same. This leads to increased trust, better communication, and ultimately more innovative and effective problem solving. Let's look at another powerful example that illustrates this point. Consider the journey of Daymond John, founder of FUBU and renowned entrepreneur. John's story isn't just about building a successful fashion brand, it's about redefining what strength looks like in the business world. John faced numerous challenges in building his fashion empire, including financial struggles and industry skepticism. The traditional business playbook would have told him to put on a brave face, to pretend everything was fine even when it wasn't. But John, like Hughes, took a different approach. Instead of hiding his struggles, John was open about them. He leveraged his emotional intelligence, allowing himself to feel and express the full range of emotions that come with entrepreneurship. This might sound risky, even foolish in the high stakes world of fashion and business, but for John, it became a superpower. By embracing his emotions rather than suppressing them, John was able to connect more authentically with his team and his community. He created a culture of openness and vulnerability within his company that fostered creativity and innovation. When John cried tears of frustration after a setback, it didn't undermine his authority, it humanized him. It showed his team that it was okay to struggle, to feel overwhelmed, as long as you picked yourself up and kept moving forward. This emotional honesty allowed John to build the support network he needed to overcome obstacles and turn FUBU into a global brand. By tapping into his full range of emotions, John accessed a deeper well of creativity and resilience. He wasn't just building a fashion brand, he was creating a movement, one that resonated deeply with his target audience precisely because of its authenticity. Now, I can almost hear some of you protesting, but won't crime make me look weak? Won't it undermine my authority? These are valid concerns, but they stem from outdated notions of what strength looks like. True strength isn't about never showing emotion, it's about having the courage to be authentic, to show up as your full self, emotions and all. In fact, research has shown that leaders who show emotional vulnerability are often perceived as more relatable and trustworthy. They create psychological safety within their teams, which leads to increased creativity, better problem solving, and higher overall performance. Think about it. Would you rather work for a boss who pretends to be infallible or one who admits when they're struggling and asks for help? This brings us to our second key insight. Self care is not just important, it's essential. When we allow ourselves to cry, to release our emotions, we're practicing a form of self care. We're acknowledging our own humanity and giving ourselves permission to feel. This is particularly crucial for Black professionals and entrepreneurs who often face additional stressors due to systemic barriers and biases. The emotional toll of navigating these challenges can be immense. Trying to maintain a stoic facade in the face of discrimination, microaggressions, and unequal opportunities is not just difficult, it's unsustainable. It's a recipe for burnout, resentment, and ultimately failure. By embracing emotional expression and prioritizing self care, Black leaders can better preserve their mental health and maintain the resilience needed to overcome these obstacles. Consider the work of organizations like Rebuild the Block and their Bridge the Gap Fund. This initiative isn't just about providing financial support to Black entrepreneurs. It's about recognizing and addressing the unique challenges, both practical and emotional, that Black business owners face. The Bridge the Gap Fund isn't just writing checks, it's creating a community where emotional expression and vulnerability are valued, where it's okay for a founder to admit they're struggling, to shed tears of frustration or fear. This supportive ecosystem allows Black entrepreneurs to process their experiences, share their struggles, and find strength in collective resilience. Imagine a young Black entrepreneur, let's call her Tasha, who's just suffered a major setback in her business. In a traditional business environment, Tasha might feel pressured to put on a brave face, to pretend everything's fine, even as she's crumbling inside. But in the supportive community created by the Bridge the Gap Fund, Tasha feels safe to express her true emotions. Picture Tasha at a community meeting, tears streaming down her face as she shares her struggles. Instead of judgment or dismissal, she's met with understanding, empathy, and concrete support. Her vulnerability becomes a catalyst for connection, leading to new partnerships, mentorship opportunities, and innovative solutions she might never have discovered if she kept her emotions bottled up. This brings us to our third key insight: community support matters. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to cry, to express our true emotions, we open the door for genuine connections. These connections form the basis of supportive networks that can sustain us through the ups and downs of our professional journeys. In the Black community, there's a rich tradition of communal support and emotional expression. From the church to the barbershop, there have always been spaces where it's okay to let your guard down, to share your struggles, to cry if you need to. By bringing this ethos into professional spaces, we can create work environments that are not just more humane, but more effective and innovative. Imagine a business world where it's okay to say, I'm struggling, where leaders can admit when they're unsure or overwhelmed, where tears are seen not as a sign of weakness, but as a natural part of the human experience. This is the world Alana Brown's message points us towards. And it's a world with the potential to be more compassionate, more creative, and ultimately more successful. Now, I know this idea might still feel uncomfortable for some of you. We've been conditioned for so long to equate emotional expression with weakness that it can feel risky to let our guard down. But I want to challenge you to reconsider this perspective. Think about the energy it takes to constantly maintain that stoic facade. Think about the opportunities for connection, for support, for genuine human interaction that we miss when we're always trying to appear strong and in control. What if, instead of seeing crying as a weakness to be avoided, we saw it as a tool for emotional regulation and authentic communication? What if we viewed vulnerability not as a liability, but as a leadership skill to be developed and valued? This shift in perspective doesn't mean we should all start sobbing uncontrollably in board meetings. It's about creating space for authentic emotional expression when it arises naturally. It's about fostering a culture where it's okay to not be okay sometimes, where seeking support is seen as a strength rather than a weakness. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge, a call to action that has the potential to transform not just your professional life, but your entire approach to leadership and success. I challenge you to embrace your tears, to allow yourself to feel deeply and authentically in your professional life. The next time you feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or even joyful to the point of tears, don't hold back. Let those tears flow. Feel the release, the catharsis, the connection to your own humanity. But don't stop there. Create spaces in your workplace where others feel safe to do the same. If you're a leader, model emotional vulnerability for your team. Share your own struggles, your own moments of doubt and fear. Show them that it's not just okay to cry, it's a powerful tool for growth and connection. For those of you who are just starting your entrepreneurial journey, remember this: your emotions are not a weakness to be overcome, they are a superpower waiting to be harnessed. Your tears, your fears, your moments of vulnerability, these are the very things that will set you apart in a world of cookie cutter professionals. And to the established leaders listening, I challenge you to rethink everything you thought you knew about strength in leadership. Are you truly strong if you're constantly suppressing your emotions? Or is true strength found in the courage to be authentically vulnerably you. As you leave here today, I want you to ask yourself, what would change in my life, in my business, if I allowed myself to cry when I needed to? What connections might I forge? What innovations might I discover? What kind of leader might I become? The world doesn't need more stoic, emotionless leaders. It needs leaders who are fully human, who aren't afraid to show their tears, their joy, their full range of emotions. It needs you, the real you, not the sanitized, emotion free version you've been taught to present to the world. So go forth and cry, laugh, feel, lead with your full heart, because in embracing your emotions, in allowing yourself to cry, you're not showing weakness. You're tapping into a wellspring of strength, authenticity, and connection that has the power to transform not just your career, but the entire landscape of leadership. Remember, in the words of the visionary Alana Brown, cry. It'll make you feel better. And in feeling better, in being more authentically you, you'll become the leader the world so desperately needs. Thank you.